All right, so let's give this a go. Broke down on the side of the road. My girlfriend's son was having a concert tonight, and car started overheating. So let's go with my notes and see what comes up. All right, so the first thing that I want to talk about is the Nephilim, the giants from Genesis 6. And the reason why I want to talk about the giants is because I see a direct correlation between AI and the Nephilim from First Enoch. And here's how. In First Enoch, the giants took over the antediluvian world. They ended up being the supermen that had kingdoms, and you listen to Timothy Alberino, there's cyclopean architecture, and they don't know how things got put together. So there was a tech that we don't understand today at all because our modern building equipment can't do it. And this was before the flood of Noah. So you had some things going on, and it all goes back, I believe, to the Genesis 6 event and what happened in First Enoch, where the 200 Gregory angels came down to the top of Mount Hermon, and they made a pact with each other that no matter what happens, they're going to stick together and they're going to take their lumps from God if he doesn't like this. So they go out and they marry women and they have children with them, and that's how the human bloodline got messed up, and you ended up with giants in the bloodline. So pretty much they shit the punch bowl. All right. And God's not happy about it. And the only people, according to the Bible, that have an unmuddied bloodline is Noah and his family, and they get on the ark and the whole flood event and all of that. All right. But before that, the Nephilim were running amok. They were out competing normal humans. They were forcing humans to be slaves. And if you couldn't produce enough food or enough pleasure for them, then they did whatever they wanted, up to and including eating you or your children. So what happened was God, Jehovah, the Christian God, incited a war between the Nephilim. You had all these Nephilimic factions fighting. And we have hints of this in like the text in the Vedas and the legend of Atlantis and all of these mythical cities that happened before written time. All right, you've got that going on, coming to us from the myth and legends that are still around. So when God did that, he also placed a curse on the Nephilim that whenever they died, they couldn't go to heaven, they couldn't go to hell. They would stay on the planet as disembodied spirits. These became the demons. That's where the demons come from. That's why they're in every culture. That's why they can speak dead languages that we no longer recognize or understand. And then you look into it and it says, oh, well, it's ancient Babylonian. We haven't heard this in thousands of years because they've been around that long. They've been around since the flood or before, depending on when they died. All right. So we've got the fallen angels. And when you read the Bible, God has incarcerated them and bound them and put them in a different place. All right, whether that's a different dimension or whatever that is, God's got them locked down someplace else until the final conflict in the book of Revelation. And in the book of Revelation, it says that the end times are going to be as the time of Noah. Now, we know from other prophecies that have been fulfilled that it's not it's never fulfilled the way that we expect it to be fulfilled. Will it be fulfilled? Yes. Will it be fulfilled the way that we expect it to be fulfilled? No. If you read the New Testament, the Sadducees and the Pharisees, these men were some of the most learned men about the religion and prophecy and everything that was going on with the Jewish religion of anyone, ever. And they missed the birth and the death of Christ as being the coming of the Messiah and the fulfillment of prophecy. They missed it. So, as in the time of Noah, and everybody's worried about AI taking over the world, right? AI is going to take over the world, and they're going to do this, and they're going to do that, and it's going to go ahead and be bad for humans. Yeah, maybe. And if you've got disembodied spirits running around that are pleasure seeking and hungry and looking for a body, right? And they possessed people and everything to go ahead and sate that at certain times. Well, I mean, the computer world would be a perfect place for that, right? And the people that are developing AI have said that the demon is coming. Well, explain what you mean. All right, because I'm not a computer genius, but I listen to what people say. And quantum computing, from what I understand, is sending the question into a different universe or realm or dimension or whatever you want to call it. And then the answer comes back from there. Who's answering the question? I don't know. Does anyone know? And why do they call AI the demon? There's some interesting things that go on if you pay attention to the story that's in First Enoch, that these beings traded us for technology, and they traded us for the cutting of herbs and magic. So pharmakia is what the Greeks called drugs, right? Pharmacy, pharmakia. So people doing ayahuasca or going on mushroom trips or whatever, and they're seeing the same kind of demons or beings or elves or whatever they want to call them. And they're all having the same experiences. That's kind of weird. And then, you know, there's that bleed over, it seems like, between that and the technical world. And one of the interesting things that I found from paying attention, my research, whatever you want to call it, is Werner von Braun, who was a card-carrying Nazi and the inventor of the V-2 rocket, was whitewashed and then came over as the head scientist for the space program that got us to the moon. And when someone asked him, why were the Germans so far ahead in technology, he said, we had some help. Could that help have come from the beings that came to Mount Hermon? I don't know. Wild speculation. Anyway, my help's here. I got to go. Talk to you later.